Welcome to the Channel Surfers. I'm John McCabe, and I'm joined as always by my co-host and good friend, Jeff Lennon. How you doing, Jeff?
John, I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing great because today we have one of our very good friends from, yes, EMC and FireEye Days. You know, we have a lot of friends from EMC, but the guest today is someone we've worked with and really admire a great deal. Please welcome Nick Nicholas. How you doing, Nick?
Hey, good afternoon, John and Jeff. And wow, you're making me laugh and smile already. And thank you so much for having me, guys. This is just fantastic. I feel like I'm at almost a high school class reunion because I feel like we've been together that long.
It's like that a lot, Nick. We have a lot of our friends from the EMC days that, you know, like Rob Cohen that was on our show. I didn't know him, but he's an EMC guy and we work with him. So like there's so many of us out there.
Well, they've gone on to bigger and better things, you know. I'll share this. So when I used to introduce myself when I was at EMC and they're like, who are you? And I'd be on the phone and they're like, oh, you work with Nick Nicholas? They'd be like, yeah. I go, I'm a taller, fatter Nick, meaning that I was fairly balding, had a goatee, you know, but I had the same energy, or at least I had hoped. Because Nick, you always came with a bit of a reputation, no disrespect. So
no disrespect, Jeff.
Hold on. I've listened to so many of my own podcasts, John. I am going to make a bingo card for what I say, and it'll be a drinking game in one of the future episodes. So, and that's one of the
You're going to laugh is number one on that. Jeff always says, you're going to laugh. So be prepared.
Just wait.
Well, no, you are.
But Nick, there are a couple of things that stand out when I think of Nick Nicholas. One, you driving the country in your van all over to partner meetings. That's one thing. The other thing is
in the back.
Yeah. The other thing is, you know, you told one of the funniest stories I've ever heard from a channel in the field experience. And that's what our series is, in the trenches with channel field executives, right? Please share this story with our audience about the time you were in New York and you hung up your suit for the next day on a sprinkler in your hotel room, because it's one of the funniest stories I've ever heard.
Oh boy, you got to take me there, huh, John? Truly in the trenches, right? And then
that is in the trenches,
and literally then the drenches, right? Because I got drenched. That's for damn sure. Oh, God.
Very true.
Actually, Nick, I think you are personally responsible for that little sticker they put on them now.
You know,
maybe
they definitely have to be compliant in every hotel now, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
Right, I think, you know, but so as the story goes, we were out with a business partner, right, celebrating some successful meetings and wins. We were at Tribeca downtown New York in Manhattan, and we enjoyed some wine, that's for sure. We were all excited. We had, Kevin Leary sitting at the table, like down the way from us. Excuse me, Dennis Leary, the comedian.
Dennis Leary. Yeah.
I knew I was close, but so we had a great dinner. Went back to the hotel room, and so the trick was, I learned very young in my career from one of my roommates when we were at the Miller Hyman Strategic Selling and Xerox U. He was like, "Hey Nick, you want a trick? If your suit's wrinkled, put it in the bathroom, shut the door, put the hot water on it, it'll steam it." Yeah, all right. So,
I do that now, by the way. You gave me that tip. I always do that. So thank you.
There you go, right? And you always look crisp, John. I mean, it's absolutely a beautiful thing, right?
Take the wrinkles out of the package.
By the way, when he says that, he doesn't mean put it in the shower, people. That's just
no.
Pop, pop.
Yeah. That would not be good.
Somewhere in the bathroom. Yeah.
So moving forward, getting closer to the drench, I steamed my suit, you know what I mean, and went downtown. And when I get back to my room, the hanger was still sitting up there on the sprinkler in the shower. And unfortunately, at this stage of the night, my balance wasn't so good. And when I went up to grab the hanger to pull it down to put my suit back on and put it in the closet now, right? I didn't need to steam it anymore. Unfortunately, the little sprinkler went off. And that's when the drenching came in. Doing the dirtiest, stinkiest freaking water sprayed all over me.
Oh my God.
Arms going off. Yeah. And, my reaction time isn't as quick now because I told you about the wonderful dinner we had. And long story short, it made a really, really big mess. And we had what would it be? NYFD there, right? In full swing, hook ladder, 20,000 trucks out in front. And, I guess the good thing is the hotel found another room for me that night. The bad thing was, a long process, shall we say, with insurance companies before we got things cleaned up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
That is a trench.
It was a pretty pricey expense to accommodate, right? Or the damage.
Yeah, it was rough, but you know what? In all honesty, you sometimes feel fortunate in life, and you mentioned EMC a few times, but that's the company I was representing, and they stood behind me along with my homeowners insurance company, because it certainly was a mistake, and like a good neighbor, they're good people,
And look, and that's what we're trying to get out of this series. Like, we want people to understand things like this happen. I love that tip about steaming your suit and shirts and everything. I use it today. It's a great, tip. I don't ever hang anything on sprinklers because of that story. So if you're out there in the field and you're trying to get some good tips, steam your stuff in the shower, but hang it on like a towel rack or the back of the door, not on the sprinkler. That's Nick Nicholas wisdom right there.
Nicholas wisdom.
Just don't now everybody know I can pass an IQ test, people. Just thank you.
Damn.
So Nick, tell us a little about yourself so the audience can understand who you are and what you're doing and kind of your experience in channel.
A little bit about myself. So
like a background.
Yeah, like your background, right? I like that.
No, it's all good.
At the end of the day, I born and raised in a suburb of Chicago. I sometimes kid people, if you ever saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off, that was kind of like the way I lived life, right? We was a child of the 80s and was really fortunate. I lived a really good life, went away to college for 4 years down in Arizona, and then I came back home. I still live in the town that I was born and raised in, Libertyville. And when I get on my little corporate things, they say, tell us a fun fact about yourself. When I introduce to all of our new colleagues, I have a park in town, Nicholas Dowden Park, which was named after my great grandpa. So I travel a lot. I go a lot of places. I've seen a lot, but I'm very grounded in my roots and my home base. So that's kind of a little bit about me. From a work perspective, I've always worked. People, ask, when did you start? I'm like, I don't know. I think I started sales when I was 8 or 9. I had a paper route. I mean, I was a full-blown entrepreneur, right? I had to sell the paper subscription. I had to deliver it. And then I had to go collect the money. I mean, that's pretty entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
And so always worked through grade school and through high school. I was managing a gas station in high school, right? Remember when they used to have full-service gas stations?
A petroleum transfer technician.
Yes, we've had this discussion. I'd say
big wad of cash you used to have in your pocket.
Oh, it was great. I mean, if you could get all the bugs off the windshield, people would give you a tip. Oh my God, that's like a commission, isn't it? Work hard, get a little more. You know what I mean? Yeah. On the weekends, they would put me in the back because I was kind of a gearhead. I have an appreciation for auto mechanics, and I would do like GOFs, grease, oil, and filter all day long. You know what I mean? And the people would come in and give me a tip. Way to go, youngster. And it was cool,
Wow.
Kind of another first sales job. I waited tables in college, right? And again, it's kind of funny because at our company this last year, sales leadership rolled out a book. What was it? Unheard of Service. It's kind of like, Bear. It's all about the restaurant industry and the whole notion. And I'm thinking to myself, I've been doing this since I was like, 19, 20 years old. I worked at a Red Lobster. So, I mean, they trained us so much. I mean, it was corporate training, right? Upsell, cross-sell, service people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And in the night, we were measured on how much did you sell, revenue, and I had to claim 8% of my revenue, and anything over 8% was free money.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the way it worked. So, so it's always just, I think, and I say all of that, guys, because you know what? I think a lot of what we do, does come down to ethic and our own tenacity, grit, resilience, whatever the words are.
Amen.
That make us successful in what we do. And you have to have the energy to go with it. And you have to have the desire and the drive.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
So,
you know, I had a bunch. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, so kind of just transition, right? So, which, by the way, I mean, you and I have known each other for a long time. I often joke because I remember the day, like down to almost the minute, the day that we met at that place in King of Prussia, the Fox and Hound. And it was 20 plus years ago. And you were in the channel at the time. You were at EMC. And so what I thought would be a good transition is, when did you make that transition into the channel, right? Because when I met you, you were in the channel. You were, for all intents and purposes, one of the first partner managers. I had also met two other competitors because of what our company did. But you were like, I don't know, man, there was just a real good like sync when we met. But I kind of want, you know, what made that transition? Because you were kind of doing some sales, which a lot of us have done. And then you were in the channel and the partners, you know, doing the partner side. What did that look like and how did you get there?
Oh, it was real simple. I mean, I was recruited over to Documentum, and I was starting up the discrete manufacturing vertical. I cracked a couple of, you know, really hot, high-rising companies in the day with a solution. I sold that solution with a partner. I was able to rinse and repeat it. And after the first quarter, I'd blown away my number, and there was an opportunity to go work on a e-business overlay team for this guy named Dave DeWalt. And I tried to negotiate for some accounts, right? Because we are a pharmaceutical company. You guys remember the history of Documentum. We won't go there.
Regulated documents.
I'm out here selling, you know, discrete manufacturing. And I'm like, I live 5 minutes from Abbott. You know what I mean? It's like, I want Abbott. I want the farmers. And they're like, nope, you got to stick with this. And I'm like, well, fine. I'm going to go do this e-business overlay thing. So that job went a year. And when the product went GA, they said, well, you start the channel for us. So I had this amazing experience with a partner in selling a total solution. And to me, it was like the net new. I'm like, man, I don't want to be a sales guy my whole life. I'm a marketer. I'm a builder, right? I want to build like repeatable, scalable revenue cycles, right? And solutions. And, you know, once you kind of taste it, you know, it gets really cool. And, you know, that leads to how I met you, right, Jeff? When you're a platform like we sell at Armis today, you know, there are a lot of different use cases and solutions, outcomes, if you will, that our customers need to consume. And that's how I met you, Jeff. You were at VitalPath. We had a very unique solution combining my technology, your technology, a joint value prop. Our service partners understood how to apply that to the people in the process, and we solved problems together.
Yeah.
We didn't sell technology. We solved problems together. And so I dug it, right? I'm like, wow, this is really cool because it's just like sales, and it is sales, but you've heard me say this before. It's like the highs aren't as high, but the lows aren't as low. And I think when you understand it, it's given me, you know, candidly, a lot of longevity in my life. I mean, you guys have seen me. I'm like the buy and hold guy when it comes to my job, you know? It's,
I got to give you credit for that. I'll definitely give you credit for that. But no, it's interesting you mentioned that, right? So the whole ISV path, I mean, we just talked about that a little bit on a previous podcast, John. And, you know, it's interesting because the business is cyclical. It's like it's coming back around again, and you've got these platform solutions and everybody thinks they're the be all end all, but, you know, and you have service providers driving, but you need somebody that's going to take the gap, so to speak. I'm using your analogy here from years ago. You were like, when you were trying to explain to somebody what we did, you were like, you're the Jeff's company's the grout between the tile. Like we're the tile, he's the grout because we don't come together because we're just not there. And at a certain point those things will come together. But what I found interesting is, just to your point, longevity. And I wrote down rinse and repeat, and you just said it again in a different way. But that to me is where the channel helps you excel, because you create a repeatable process, that rinse and repeat model, right? That's your restaurant coming back to you. But where do you see it today? Like, and you know, taking all that, kind of tying it back. I mean, where are you seeing because I see a lot of it coming full circle right now. Like really, you know, it's kind of amazing, and it's new to people, but I'm seeing it again for probably the second time.
Well, I agree. I feel like it's coming full circle, or should I say, it's finally coming to the cybersecurity world from my perspective, right? I mean, I thought we did a lot of really cool solutioning and things when we were selling content management. And, you know, I just feel like when I first came and I got over to FireEye Mandiant, to me, it felt like the channel was basically pushing boxes, right? They weren't adding a lot of value. They were taking a lot of orders. You know, there was a lot of go buy this, go buy that, a lot of knee-jerk reactions. And that's how, you know, all of our customers have, 85 security tools that they need to reduce to 30 now.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what it seemed like. And I think as we're in this era of needing to do more with less consistently, that ability to really solutionize more and having the partners add more value is there. And then I think the other piece of that is, which, you know, John, you've touched on it many times with your knowledge around MSSPs. You know, it seemed like back in the day, cybersecurity was only for the, you know, Global 1000, right? Only the big guys have to worry about this stuff. But the reality is we all realize it's a supply chain or value chain issue. So whether I'm a 500 person company or a 50,000 person company, I really need the same protections against the bad guys. And we all know the little guys can't get that. So they need things like a, you know, Black Clover Cyber to go help them solve their problems.
Sorry.
You are too funny. But you're right. But to your point, and it is coming full circle because it's moved into this genre. But actually, I think you're spot on. By the way, just to go back to, and not to throw anybody under the bus at FireEye, because I came in later. But that was all the stories you heard. I mean, they used to say, "Hey, they turned it on, the lights went on," and people were like, "I'll take it," right? Because nobody knew. But you have a much more educated, even in the enterprise space. But I think you're spot on with the mid market and the SMB side. So what do you see as the changes that are happening, and how do you start to learn to take even your solutions and your approach in your daily life to make that work, to kind of dovetail that in so that it does become something that's democratized for the smaller companies?
Well, so I guess from my world right now, and the piece there is that, you know, in cyber, it really is around people and process and technology now, where I think a lot of, in the early days, it was technology. But where I see it coming into play now is, you know, at least in my current portfolio, you know, my partners are leaning in. They're investing. They are developing a services value prop, their own IP, you know, wrapped around our technology, our platform, to go out and deliver or manage outcomes for the customers. And this has literally exploded in the last, you know, year and a half, right? I've been now 3.7. So within the last year and a half, the market has moved in and they've leaned in, right? And so that's not just my portfolio, but that's the GSIs, that's the pure play MSSPs, you know what I mean? MSPs. Yeah. So to me, that's where, okay, they're all realizing that, you know, the service piece, the solutioning piece is really important. And when you see these partners of ours making these investments, you kind of know it's real, right? It's validation. You guys, we all know nobody builds in hopes that it comes anymore, right?
Yeah.
There is no fever dreams, dude.
Yeah. We got a widget. Anyways.
Damn.
Yeah. So, Nick, one of the things we've asked our guests, typically that are in the field like yourself, what are some of the top trends, you know, that you're seeing that are shaping partner success? You know, we can go back to the Rob Cohen interview. You know, AI is a big part of what he's doing now, and AI is building his company, but it's also contributing to what he's doing as a field, you know, channel executive. So what are you seeing in 2025 as some of the trends that are helping you with your role?
So from an AI perspective specifically, or just
in general? I mean,
yeah,
if there's AI, great. Sorry, John.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So, you know, I think from the AI side, we're still trying to figure it out. Channel specific, I think we've got a lot of users. I've got some people on my team that do some AI work for me, candidly. I mean, I play around with ChatGPT. Our sales teams, though, they're using it extensively. So we've got 4 or 5 AI agents, if you will, within Salesforce. And where it starts to get interesting and where it's like, hey, partners, you know, update what you do and how you do it, is they use that information to map partners' capabilities into opportunities that they have. So if they're looking at a lead or something that comes in, you know, it's automatically coming up saying, hey, have you thought about these partners as part of the ecosystem? If we know, hey, it's this use case, bada bing, bada boom. So it's, more advanced search capabilities, but that's stuff that we're just, starting to integrate. And so we as a channel organization really hope it helps us more because, we've gone 100% channel, right? We are 100% deployment with our ecosystem as well. So the more we can get our teams engaging with our partners earlier in the cycle, as you guys know, engage early, engage often,
Yep.
Faster we grow and scale everything. So yeah, that's probably our use case. And, the onus on us as partner managers is to make sure that, we're doing a good job of defining, the addressable markets, for lack of better terms, that our partners play in.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. And what we're seeing as some trends, like I think as AI is so, it's just invading everything that we do. And talking to Jay McBain about it, like if you're not using AI, if your company doesn't have some sort of AI component, you're going to be left behind. It's a $600 billion industry in the next coming years, 3 years, right? And I think Jeff and I, we joke, but we utilize, our friend Chad GPT
We named him
for a lot of what we do, right? For the show, for our jobs, and
I think Chad would have been better, but I'll go with Chad.
Wasn't Chad in Weird Science the jerk off brother? Chad?
Yeah, he was, but he kind of knew everything. So that's the cross you got to bear. That's the sword you fall on, man.
Yeah, but I think helping like I'll give you a great example how I think AI is helping me as a channel executive. The company I'm working with, they just implemented a new partner portal called Intro, and we interviewed the CEO, young kid, 26 years old, built this amazing partner platform. Not like anything I've ever done, and I've implemented like 8 different partner portals in my time, and there's some that are great, some that are not great, some that are expensive and not great. Intro is amazing, and they just added this component, and I'm taking full advantage of it. They have an AI chat bot, and you as the vendor feed this chat bot everything about your product, how to sell your product, the product information, anything that's valuable for you to have your partners have it at their fingertips. And then when the partner has goes into the intro, the bot pops up and says, "Hey, do you have any questions about your company?" And they type in, "How do I sell this product?" And boop, it pops up the documents you've created and the information you've created.
So send that guy company's way. I mean, we've got chatbots, but they're not quite that robust. That's pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
And really
I can't rave enough about this product because it's so the functionality that it offers.
It's crazy. It really is. And just not to cut you off, John, like the whole way that I met the CEO, young kid, great solution. I met him at an event in Seattle. I'm talking to him. And I was like, "Yeah, well, we do a podcast, blah, blah, blah." And then I say John's name and he goes, "That name's familiar." And I go, "Yeah, he works at this company." And he goes, they just signed up. And I was just standing there like, "Shut up." I'm like, come on.
And I'm like, I know. Yeah. Like I know Intro. They're awesome. So yeah. But like, those are the kind of tools, like I think from our where we sit, those are the things that we need, right? We don't necessarily need some of the AI tools that are out there like that, do umpteen different things. I want something that's going to give me the ability to educate my partners. Enablement. I don't know how you guys feel about enablement. I think it's important, but it's also very hard to put together and to get partners to go to the enablement training and understand it and stop asking me how to sell my product. It's one of the big frustrations that I've experienced. But
it's the old horse to water thing, John, right? It's like you lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. And that's so it's first of all, you make him drink, to your point, make it simple, make it easy, make it repeatable. And anyway, sorry, go ahead. You were going to say something, Nick. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I was kind of chuckling on John's enablement play. You know what I mean? Because I'm all about it, right? But you need to enable the right people for the right reasons. And, thinking that you're going to go out and spiff people and pay them all this money to go take a 101, 201 certification course. I think it's great. It creates awareness, but, there's a lot of effort and a lot of lifting done. And you just have to ask yourself, are there other ways that we could leverage that time that may be a little bit more value than what we're trying to achieve? You know what I mean? And I give examples because, I can remember days in my life and my career where there were contests and spiffs. Oh, the more people get trained and certified, blah, blah, blah. And then, you see these partners and they have armies of people trained. And then you look at their revenue productivity in their pipeline. It's like, wow, where's the ROI? What, you know what I mean? So it's interesting. I'm all about it. I'm not saying it's nothing we should be doing. I think we have to do it, but in the right way, So
yeah,
that one, from the surfboard, let me know because the best enablement I find, in all honesty, is when my teams can get in the room with my partner team and have a very relaxed conversation. And it takes time to get to that point. You usually have to do 2 or 3 show ups and throw ups, lunch and learns, right? Whatever we want to, until the people are comfortable with each other and they're comfortable with your technology. You've had some good success. And I think of an example I had today because I was virtual, but I had a team down in Fishers, Indiana with one of my partners. And, it was like the most amazing hour and a half with these guys. And what they accomplished and the openness and the collaboration that they had was, like I say, I always say, brought a tear to my eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it takes a while to get there. And you say enablement, that was the enablement.
Right.
We talked 5 selling story situations, you know what I mean? That had nothing to do with product, but how do we do it? And next thing you know, it's like, all right, we got to go do this, and this, and this is where we're going. It's like, that was cool.
Damn.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Well, my takeaway from that, right? It's funny because we're going to add that show up and throw up to the Chug and Hug T-shirts that we're going to get, but because you're right. But my takeaway from that is, it's those visits, right? First of all, it's about building trust. And John and I talk about this. I mean, if we're somewhere in the 30 episodes right now, but we probably have talked about it on 25 of them because it is the core. And to build trust, you have to be genuine. You have to be upfront. You have to be transparent. And people see when you're being disingenuous, or they see when you're just throwing shit over. No offense to companies, right? You're just throwing shit out there, and you're going to do a spiff to get people trained. I've seen it. It's great because it gets the engagement, but it's not necessarily going to have the ROI like you just said. But I think what you just described is great, but it's, for what it's worth, it's perseverance, it's the grit, it's you got to get out there, you got to press the flesh with people to get in front of them to say, hey, here's what we can do. And you're doing, the manager's doing that before you can get your people even in front of them, right? Because you're just trying to crack the door so that they're willing to at least have the conversation. So anyway, but I think that's awesome.
It's fun when you get to that point, right? You guys know that. It's when you're your business partners, you really feel like, family, right? Like us here, and you can just be open and honest and candid with each other, and have the hard conversations and have the fun conversations.
Absolutely. I used to play because I did a lot of driving in my territory at the time, and I'm an older guy, right? But one of my favorite police songs was "Canary in a Coal Mine."
Yeah, you feel like that, right?
Yeah, that's what it felt like. You're just like, you're going out there. People are like, I can't believe you're doing that. I'm like, it's gonna take time. Like, you don't just go out and meet with people and they say, oh man, you're absolutely, come in, you're the best thing since sliced bread, let's go do this, or one of our old friends, right, from my Vital Path days, he used to say, oh, it's the best thing since night baseball. And I was like, okay, I'm a baseball fan. Okay, I'll go with
maybe.
Yeah, maybe, right? Ended up being, you got to watch, another phrase I picked up, John. Now I'm like going off the rails here. But there was a phrase from somebody at EMC one time, and I was like, wow, I don't know about that guy. And the person, who was a technical person, turned and looked at me and he goes, and I just said this to you yesterday, Nick, or the other day, dude, he's all hat and no cattle. And I went, what? Wow. Like, and it just clarified it.
So an empty suit. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we're kind of bumped up against the time here, Nick. Do you have anything you want to promote, so the listeners can reach out to you if they have questions or want to talk about your current company and product?
Yeah.
Do I want to promote? Sure. So, I'm repping a couple of big partners with 3 letters each in North America and globally, and I'm here at Armis. Armis is a cyber threat exposure management platform, and I always like to tell the C-suite we do 3 things, and we do them really, really well. We tell you what you have, right? You can't manage what you can't measure. So in the world of visibility and asset intelligence, we allow our customers to understand what's touching their network, right? Whether it's a cell phone, right? Whether it's a workload in the cloud, we can figure all that stuff out really, really well, right? Then we can kind of tell our customers, why do I care, right? Once I understand what I have, why do I care? So we've got some really cool AI out there that, allows us to, help our customers understand what that risk looks like and to really prioritize the remediation and other things we need to do, if you will, with that enriched data. And then that's kind of the third piece, right? Once we've enriched this data and our customers understand what they have and what risk it proposes to the business, they can then operationalize that and go take action. So it's really cool stuff, right? It's kind of like the, third generation database for the digitally transformed architecture. How's that?
Wow.
You can't be digitally transformed if you don't have ZTA. You can't have ZTA if you don't have network segmentation and enforcement. You can't have network segmentation and enforcement if you don't have 100% visibility, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, for the listeners out there, if you don't know Armis, they're one of the top cybersecurity companies that are out there that people turn to for the type of services they offer, and it's been around for a while, and they've been very successful. And I think, Nick, you've been a big part of that. I know you've been there for a while, and you've really helped to grow their channel and alliance business for them.
Well, I appreciate that, John. It's been a good run, and we're definitely trending in the right direction. It's a good space to be in. I feel really fortunate throughout my career to have made the network I had that frankly got me here. And when you've got the team and you've got the product, it's kind of fun.
That's awesome, man.
For sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, before we kind of do the tail off here, I wanted to bring up something because we talked about how the business is going in a cyclical kind of circle here. Everything's coming back around. And Nick, I noticed something in the background, and I'm not sure if you've always had it there, but it looks like channel surfing was in your past because you got a surfboard in the corner. So super cool. So John, I don't know if you picked that up, but I'm like, Nick has been he's an old time channel surfer. Old time.
Yeah.
So that was an award when I had a good year at EMC. Our club trip was in Hawaii, and they gave us a watch and a surfboard for doing a good job. So it's like one trophy that I kind of keep in my very bare office.
So you're a definite channel surfer. I'm just making a note that
he's an OG channel surfer.
Ooh.
All right. How do we got the G? Is that the G?
So, all right. Well, Nick, we really appreciate you joining us. It was a great time. I had a lot of good laughs, and
Likewise.
I think our audience learned a little bit about how you operate. And if anyone wants to reach out to you for advice, how can they get in contact with you?
Just reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's a great place to reach out, and we'll connect and we'll have a conversation.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it. And thank you again for being part of the show. Jeff, thanks for co-hosting with me as always.
This has been fun.
For our audience, we are found on most podcast services out there. I think Spotify link broke, and I'm in the process of rebuilding it. So if you're a Spotify listener, I apologize. You can find us on Apple, Overcast, Amazon. There are plenty of other podcasting services you could find us and continue to listen. We have a LinkedIn page where we post all of our broadcasts that are coming out on Tuesdays. We also have a website, www.channelsurfers.com. You can reach me at john@channelsurfers.com and Jeff at channelsurfers.com. So there's many ways to reach out to us, and we would love to hear from you and get some ideas for future shows. But until the next show, Nick, best of luck in what you're doing and continued success. And thank you again for being on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Nick. Always great to see you, bud.
We'll see you down in Charlotte in a few weeks, man. Take care,
guys.
It.
Love to see you.
Cheers. Awesome.